Hello, my name is David Brett. I'm the editor of the New Westminster Times, coming to you again from the controversial site of the proposed tiny home village housing complex in New Westminster here near all these rail lines. So I have some news related to this topic I would like to share, and it has to do with the conflict with the rail lines. There is evidently been no consultation prior to the decision to locate this tiny home village of 30 container homes in a vacant lot here next to this industrial area. So the story is that for years, the City of New Westminster had a railway community advisory panel, which had a member of council and members of the community on it, primarily focused on whistle cessation, which is a safety issue. How can the railways stop blowing their horns and maintain safety? But this committee was disbanded in 2019 and replaced what was called a Railway Technical Committee, purely of staff members. Now, the terms of reference that I've found on the city website for the Railway Technical Committee include the following: planned development projects or other area restructure plans adjacent to railway right-of-way. So clearly it's within the scope of this committee. One of their responsibilities is to discuss planned development projects. Well, it would appear that the committee never discussed this with the other railway stakeholders, which include people from CPKC, BNSF, SRY, Transport Canada. So they're all supposed to review these safety protocols. Now, as we reported before, the Railway Association of Canada has sent a letter. They're very upset, and they keep referencing these guidelines. And I have just the cover page here. It says guidelines for new development in proximity to railway operations. So it's very on the nose, and these guidelines were developed by the Federation of Canadian Municipalities and the Railway Association of Canada. Now, New Westminster is a member of the Railway Association of Canada. So I'm just going to delve into a few points from these guidelines. But first, another bit of news. Tomorrow, Thursday, March 19th, there's going to be an information session put on by the City of New West and BC Housing at Anvil Centre in downtown New Westminster to address concerns and answer questions. Now, this meeting promises to be a real barn burner, given the fact that there's over 1,700 signatures on a petition opposing this project. So, just reading through these guidelines, they're quite revealing. And just so there's no confusion, just one little section here. The question is, well, what's the purpose of the guidelines? It says, these guidelines include best practices and guidelines dealing specifically with residential conversion or infill projects on former industrial or commercial lands. That's exactly what this is. So the guidelines should have been engaged. The consultation should have kicked in, but it didn't. So some other interesting facts from these guidelines is that there's sort of rough solutions or best practices. There's supposed to be a 6-foot-high chain link fence. There's no fence here. There's also supposed to be a sound barrier. This is a major issue for railroads and residential locations next to railroads is the sound, the vibration. So there's supposed to be sound walls, there's supposed to be all these things. Now, they don't really talk about a homeless shelter that's made up of containers. These containers in no way would meet the guidelines for the residential development being discussed. They talk about, well, let's put the garages on one side, on the railway side, and the houses on the other. So there's all of these recommendations for mitigating sound and for addressing safety risks. So there you have it. You have a situation where you've got the city is invoking these crisis response bylaws to override the official community plan, to override the requirement for a public hearing or a public or any consultation with neighbors. But how are they going to skate over this? This is quite apart from the OCP. New Westminster is a town with over 30 at-grade crossings, and they're trying to do whistle cessation at all of them, and they're constantly meeting with railway officials and stakeholders discussing how they're going to approach these whistle cessation goals. Well, so the safety discussion is constantly going on. So from what I can tell from city documents, the most recent meeting of the Railway Technical Committee was on November 25th. So it's unclear whether they've met since or what their role is in all of this. But according to the letters coming from the railway stakeholders, they were completely blindsided by this announcement. Now, they've come down and said, we're against this. They don't seem to see any mitigation steps that the city could take or BC Housing could take to overcome the safety risks because of the additional wild card of drug use, alcohol use, and their experience with this type of behavior across Canada. We're not talking about just New Westminster. Across Canada, they're saying, well, we've experienced all this uptick. So can the City of New West and BC Housing just kind of set this aside and deal with it later? Or are they going to have to stand down? Well, we'll soon find out. So tomorrow, important information meeting, downtown New Westminster at Anvil Centre, at the corner of 8th Street and Columbia in downtown New West, 5:30. Should be a bit of a barn burner. We will be there covering it and interviewing people. My name is David Brett. I'm the editor of the New Westminster Times. If you enjoy our work, please support our journalism. You can go to newwesttimes.com. Up in the right-hand corner, there's a button that says support our work. If you would feel so inclined, we would really appreciate it. In the meantime, thanks for watching.